Hey guys, Mike in the woods here. So lately I've been running this Boundless Voyage 3-liter titanium pot in my winter camping kit. And it's actually become one of the better investments in my winter camping kit. I mean, it's inexpensive, it's lightweight enough to go into a backpack, and I can boil an entire 24-hour supply of drinking water in one batch. So if you're in the market for a large format cook pot, I thought I'd make this video to help you decide if this might be the right pick for you. As with all my review videos, we'll take a look at the pros and cons, the specs, and who might actually get a good use out of this thing. As you can see, I've used mine a fair bit, and I have a few things to say about it. So subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's take a look. The actual capacity listed is 2900 milliliters, so it's technically just shy of 3 liters. It claims a weight of 307 grams, which lines up with what my scale says, even with some buildup from quite a few campfires at this point. The walls are 0.5 millimeters thick. The whole pot is roughly 19.5 centimeters in diameter by 11 centimeters tall, including the lid, and it claims to be 99.8% titanium. It has both fluid ounces and milliliter measurements embossed inside, although they are difficult to make out in low light. It has a bail handle for hanging and handling, a vented lid with a center pull ring, and comes in a handy lightweight stuff sack that I find really helpful for stopping it getting soot and sap residue all over my other gear inside of my backpack. And the best part, it only cost me $65 Canadian. Compare that to any other titanium pot even remotely close in size, and you'll see that it's staggeringly inexpensive in comparison. This pot is large. It might not weigh much, but it still takes up quite a lot of space in your pack, especially if you're trying to pack small. After all, this thing holds a whopping 3 liters, so try to make up for it by storing stuff inside of the pot. In my case, that's where I keep my hammock and the straps, which just barely fits in there. The size of it also makes it awkward to try and use on a small backpacker style stove, like a gas canister stove or a twig stove. The phrase "a baby's arm holding an apple" comes to mind, so you'll need to make sure it's as stable and flat as can be. It'll also consume quite a lot of fuel if you have the full 3 liters in there, since that's quite a lot of mass to heat up. It's doable, especially if you have a twig stove and you have a handy supply of sticks to keep feeding it, but I definitely recommend using a campfire if you can, and be prepared to be patient waiting for such a large pot to come to a boil. And while the pot does have markings for how full it is, because it's such a big pot, it's obviously not that granular, which makes it hard to gauge exact amounts for cooking small meals like Knorr sidekicks. It helps to have something else to measure with a known capacity, like for example, I use my little coffee mug to get relatively more accurate amounts. Freeze-dried backpacker meals also help here, since you just pour water into the pouch up to the predetermined fill line with no additional measurement needed. They claim that the pot won't warp, but after a few camp trips, I've noticed that it's started to, at least a little bit. The lid no longer sits perfectly flush with the pot. Now, ultimately this means nothing, but prolonged use will probably make it worse over time. I'll have to see how it fares in the long term. All in all, these are very minor nitpicks overall, and I love the pot. It does exactly what it says in the package, and while its use cases for solo backpackers is limited, I'd argue that it excels in those situations in which it makes sense. So there's 2 primary use cases I see for such a large and lightweight cook pot. The first is group expeditions into the backcountry where you'll be cooking for multiple people at a time, and the second is for solo backpackers in winter, which is what I use it for. In the warmer weather, a solo backpacker doesn't need anything quite near as big if they're only using it for cooking. My warm weather kit involves a stainless steel Stanley Adventure cook pot, and that only holds 750 milliliters. But in the cold weather, where you can't use backpacker style water filters because water freezing in the filaments will compromise them, the only effective way to treat water for drinking and cooking is to boil it. You can do that on a small pot for sure, but with a big 3-liter pot like this, I can boil an entire 24-hour supply of drinking water in one pot. It's even more useful if you're opting to boil snow for water. Snow shrinks down considerably when it melts, and having a big pot makes the process go a heck of a lot smoother. With one packed down pot of loose powdery snow, it gives me enough water for a hot coffee and a meal. It saves a lot of time and effort, which helps a lot while backpacking in the winter. To me, definitely seems like this pot's primary use case. So, is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. It's a mainstay in all of my below freezing camping loadouts. From my experience with it on the 4 or so winter camping trips I've been out with it, it seems to hold true to everything that it says it does. It gets my Mike in the Woods seal of approval. I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link to it in the description, and if you have any questions not covered by this video, let me know down below and I'll do my best to answer. If you're new to the channel, I combine traditional outdoors experiences with fun, futuristic technology. Check out my other videos and consider subscribing if that's your thing. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you next time.